We can talk about the World Cup.
We can talk about the World Cup if you
You
want.
know more about the World Cup than I do because you've genuinely watched an awful lot more of the World Cup than I have.
Have I?
Oh, 100%. I watched the England games.
Yeah.
And I watched the opening game, the Mexico game.
Yep, watched that. It's great. Canada.
Yeah, I can't watch Canada. Until I know they're going to lose and I can just hate watch Jesse Marsh, not watching them.
Sure.
Yeah.
What other game have I watched?
Why do we hate Jesse Marsh?
Leeds manager.
Yeah, he's
Former
Leeds manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
and I genuinely think that might be it.
I have watched basically every 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock game this week. I watched France, England, Canada, and South Africa. Obviously England. I missed there wasn't a 10 o'clock game last night, so I missed the 6 o'clock, the Spanish game.
Spain game, yeah. I listened to that on TalkSport on the way home. However, missed every single goal. Like there was already 1-0 up, and then there was still 1-0 up when I got home.
Yeah.
Saw that it was 3-0 this morning.
There's very few apexes in football, though. But we can talk about the World Cup if you want to talk about the World Cup. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup? France. Good. Glad we all agree on that. Do we think it's going to be a repeat final?
Yeah.
No.
Argentina in the final?
No, I don't.
It's either Brazil or Argentina, really.
The issue is, I think if England get past Mexico, we get to the final.
We're against Brazil after Mexico.
Brazil aren't very good.
That's only if we beat Mexico on home soil.
Brazil aren't very good.
7,000 feet up,
I fear more. I fear Mexico more than I do Brazil and Argentina. And that sounds crazy, but Brazil aren't that good. And Argentina will play more into England's favour.
Do you know how's really surprised me this World Cup? The African teams.
They haven't shocked me at all.
Ivory Coast gave Norway a good run.
Yeah, but Ivory Coast have a credible team, though.
Morocco beat the Netherlands.
Morocco have an incredible team.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing, like where it comes on. Like, so the last World Cup, Morocco were very good.
Yeah.
So and then they've just won. Well, they didn't win AFCON, but they got given AFCON.
They won it.
Like Morocco are a very, very good side. The one thing that shocked me about the African teams is, like, there's always a bit of a surprise African team.
Yeah.
There hasn't been that this year. Because the ones that we know are good...
Ghana tonight, maybe.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but there's always sort of a shock African team. It hasn't really happened so far, but it could be tonight.
Imagine if Cape Verde beat Argentina.
That would break the internet, I think.
There's just not a chance.
Bearing in mind, Ronaldo won last night. I think if Messi got knocked out by Cape Verde...
Is Ronaldo still... I thought the whole thing about last World Cup was that this was going to be Ronaldo and Messi's last World Cup. So you're telling me that they're both in it this year?
Yeah.
But
why?
Because why wouldn't they be?
I mean, the thing is, Messi's proving that he's still the man, whereas Ronaldo... I still think Portugal would be better without him, which seems crazy.
I think the difference between the two is that without Ronaldo, Portugal look very good, but Argentina without Messi look awful.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of just need to remove Messi from the Argentina team and they aren't getting into another World Cup.
But they'll get to the World Cup. They just won't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the players are quite old. Like,
you're old.
Yeah, they are. But South Americans
and they have
this
Garnacho
ability
as
to
a
just
choice on
have
the wing.
new players come through.
So who we got tonight? We've got
loads of football today.
Colombia, Ghana,
God, it's gonna
Australia, Egypt, Argentina, Cape Verde, or Cabo Verde, as they're called on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird that because on every football site it's Cape Verde, but it's actually,
even with
I don't understand. So, like, when I first saw Cabo Verde, I didn't realise it was Cape Verde. I was like, I've heard of Cape Verde. I've never heard of Cabo Verde.
Yeah. Even with Congo. So when I Googled to do the table that you've just seen in my office.
Dr. Congo.
Yeah, when I Googled Dr. Congo on FIFA, it told me that their abbreviation, their 3-letter abbreviation was COD, C-O-D.
DRC.
But when they played England, it was DRC, so they changed that. Yeah, it was weird.
So, why was it a double yellow wave flag on the cooldown lap when everyone's already reduced their speed significantly, and not a double wave flag immediately when everyone's going hell leather on the last final flying lap?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Ahead at the Apex. I'm your host Josh, and today I am joined by an almost permanent member of the podcast team, Jake. Say hi, Jake.
Hello everyone.
And obviously returning fan favourite council member, Cam.
Hi
Say
everyone.
hi, Cam.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about how Lewis Hamilton and Marc Marquez have forced their way back into the conversation of a 2026 title, how Max Verstappen has found a turn of pace, and that infamous yellow flag incident at the Austrian Grand Prix that has sparked a furious debate on social media and just about every other motorsport podcast that I listen to. How are we, boys?
Very good.
Good, yeah.
We've just been chatting some stuff about football. The World Cup's on, which is very
The
exciting.
weather is fantastic.
The weather
Got
is-
any foreign listeners?
Today actually is really nice because it's warm, but it's windy and it's a little bit cloudy,
Yeah.
which just is just perfect weather.
Until next week when we're back in the 30s.
Yeah.
And it's going to be terrible.
Yeah. And then probably the week when I'm on holiday, which is the next week after that, it'll be absolutely miserable. And I'll have just perfectly chosen the wrong week to go on holiday
Yeah.
again. Right, before we get started today, we will do our little social promo thing. So I'll either insert the video I pre-recorded here, or I will keep this bit in. Who knows? See how it goes. If you want to get your questions to us and you want to have your questions featured on the podcast, you can get in touch with us via our social channels. The best way to get in touch with us is to head over to our Patreon at AAT Apex and become a member. It's completely free and you can get involved with our From Our Perspective series, as well as race chats. And you can, of course, send us your questions for every podcast recording session, which is usually every 2 weeks. But there will be two recordings this week and 2 recordings next week because I am on holiday and so is Tim. Where was I? Alternatively, you can get in touch via Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter using the handle at AAT Apex. Finally, why not leave us a review and comment on Spotify or wherever you like to get your podcasts? You don't actually have to like the podcast, right, Jake? You just have to leave us a 5-star review.
Yep.
It could be, when will Jake get a haircut? 5 stars. Why is Tim never in the podcast? 5 stars.
Yeah. Why is Tim always on holiday?
Why is Tim always on holiday?
Questioning how much time he gets.
When will Josh shut up? 5 stars. I've heard better podcasts from my 5-year-old. 5 stars.
It's not as good as P1 Tommy and
It's not as good as P1. You can also find the podcast on YouTube, Amazon Music, Castbox, and in various other places. With that, let's get on with it, boys. So we're going to start with Formula One, if that's okay with everybody. I know we have some MotoGP to talk about, but obviously Cam is not an expert in MotoGP. So let's start where we all have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of expertise, and then we'll move through the podcast as we want. Now, obviously, by the time you guys hear this, listeners, it will have been the British Grand Prix. Right now, it's Friday of the British Grand Prix. According to the F1 website, it's 3 hours, 2 minutes and 20 seconds exactly until FP1 starts. Thoughts on how the British Grand Prix is going to go? We're going to discuss it a bit later as well, but
I think it'll be similar to Austria in terms of the order.
okay.
If Red Bull can qualify a little better, they may have a bit more of a say in the race, like, as in for Max to actually potentially win the race.
You've really come round on Max Verstappen, haven't you?
I have. After seeing how quick he was at Austria, that if he can start enjoying it a bit more, now he's in a bit of a faster car, then everyone should get worried.
Yes.
But I think virtual safety cars and things like that are going to have a big say.
Yeah, so for reference to people who don't know about Silverstone, it is the slowest and the longest pit lane on the calendar, and with the one of the fastest same length of racetrack, right? Yeah. So it's similar. It's a similar time loss to Monza, but the pit lane is longer at Silverstone, so it's obviously a little bit longer in terms of time lost. So it really, with race winners at Silverstone are made by who pits under a safety car and who pits under a VSC and whatever. Yeah. There is no getting round the fact that Silverstone is technically an underground pit lane, and therefore it's a bit tighter and a bit slower and a bit. I don't know why they made it underground as well, because they put a great big massive grandstand opposite, and you can't see into the pit lane from the grandstand.
Yeah, you see, I always wonder with Silverstone whether, like, did they have to make it slower after when Schumacher won in the pits?
So that was a different pit lane.
Yeah,
that was the pit lane, the international pit lane, which is now between Woodcote and Copse, the old pit lane.
Yes.
They well, anybody who's played the F1 game between 2012 and 2019 will have tried to go through the pit lane on the last lap and cross the start-finish line, which is underneath the podium. And doing that gains you about 3 seconds. So if you're 3 seconds behind, you can technically cross So they had to extend the slow point of the pit lane so that it wasn't quicker to go that way to finish the race.
Yeah.
But also they slowed. Silverstone was the first one to go down to 60 km/h after Maria.
This is a bad look for them.
Maria de Villota, who she drove for Marussia, overcoming the loss of her own eye in a freak testing crash months earlier with Williams. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, we do that now, Cam. We do that now. When we need to fact check, because I can cut stuff out,
I like that.
And we do it on Patreon. I'd rather be, as I've written here, we don't care about being first. We care about being right. And that's more important to us. So yeah, a little bit of chat about the British Grand Prix. There'll be a bit more shortly. Focus on the Austrian Grand Prix, which was last week as of time of recording. And I don't know if you actually watched this race, Jake.
I did, yeah.
Okay, good. You want to talk to me then about the yellow flag incident? Would you like to explain it like you are explaining it to somebody who didn't see the race?
Okay, so I think we kind of have to take into account that Austria has a weird short layout in terms of corners.
Yeah, there were only 9.
They're only 9 to 10, right? It depends if you count that.
Well, they don't even count one of them, do they?
Yeah.
No, they do count one of them, but they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. The second turn
is not a turn.
Is not a turn. It's just a straight that veers left.
There's 10, but there should be 9.
Yeah. So the final 2 corners are quite close together, and during qualifying, there's always a risk on that second to last corner that you do touch the grass either on entry or exit, and you just go flying. Max did it, kind of.
He did,
and I mean, Max was on a really good lap. It's unfortunate that he couldn't finish it because it looked like it was a lap that was not going to beat. Who was it? Was Antonelli or Russell at the top?
Leclerc Hamilton at the top.
I don't think it was going to beat them, but I think it was going to be close, very tight. And he lost the back end and then went into the wall. That usually pulls out at least 1 yellow flag, if not 2. Now, with the way qualifying usually ends is last out has the best chance. to a degree.
Usually. Yeah.
George, being George, decided, I'm going to go right at the end, and pushed it. Fast lap, just as Max went off, yellows came out.
Yes, both Mercedes were behind Max, right?
He was in the middle. Now, Antonelli dropped off and left off and abandoned the lap, which at the time, bearing in mind he was ahead of George on track, was the right call.
Yes, he was the immediate driver behind Max, yeah.
So he would have been caught out. He would have had his lap time deleted and blah, blah, so it was kind of pointless him trying, which is unfortunate because I think he was on a pretty solid lap anyway.
Yeah.
George, on the other hand, decided, I'm just going to go for it and deal with it later.
Well, it didn't really.
He did do a lift, Jake. Let's be fair.
I don't know whether a lift was needed.
According to telemetry, he was 0.5 of a second up in sectors 1 and 2. Then he finished 0.2 of a second up. So he's arguing that he lost 0.3 of a second in one corner.
Yeah, and according to the telemetry, he lifted something like, was it 1.5 tenths of the lift, what you wouldn't normally do in a normal lap.
Yeah,
which they're just, but he's justifying it as I did a long enough lift.
Yeah,
I've slowed down. I've lost time.
Yeah, I think for the type of incident it was, bearing in mind that corner isn't, it's not miles and miles of runoff. I still don't think
there is miles and miles of runoff. There's huge amounts of runoff.
Yeah.
Max was in a different country. He was that far away from the track.
Yeah, there is a big gravel trap.
There is a big gravel trap, but again, if George went off, he would have been collided into Max.
Well, so given this is ahead at the apex, it's time to get the regulations out. So, according to the FIA 2026 F1 Regulations Section B, the sporting regulations, Article B 1.8.4 with supplementary Article 2.5.5b of Appendix H of the International Sporting Code. Love it. Absolutely love it. Awesome. A single waved yellow. Any driver passing through a waved yellow flag marshalling sector must reduce their speed or be prepared to change direction. In order for the stewards to be satisfied that any such driver has complied with these requirements, they're expected to have braked earlier and or discernibly reduced speed in the relevant marshalling sector. I think that's fair to say that he did.
Yeah.
And so did the stewards. So we're not arguing against the stewards here. Double waved yellow flag. Any driver passing through a double waved yellow flag marshalling sector must reduce speed significantly and be prepared to change direction or stop. In order for the stewards to be satisfied that any such driver has complied, it must be clear that the driver has not attempted to set a meaningful lap time on the relevant lap. Furthermore, during a sprint qualifying session, any driver passing through a double waved yellow flag marshalling sector will have that lap time deleted. So, George didn't break the rules. The bigger question is, and it's something that Cam asked me.
Off pod. So, why was it a double yellow wave flag on the cooldown lap when everyone's already reduced their speed significantly and not a double wave flagged immediately when everyone's going hell leather on the last final flying lap?
Yeah.
My other question as well is, it was a very, very quick back to green. Like, it was literally Max Verstappen's car was there in the wall and then there was a green flag to return to racing. So it's not that George Russell did anything wrong. He was very clever. Should it have been a double yellow, or should the yellow also have been carried into the last turn? I think it should have been a double yellow.
Yeah. So I've actually heard the justification as to why it was a yellow and not a double yellow. And unfortunately, it's got nothing to do with Formula One. But so marshals at this level, so to get into marshalling, which is a voluntary job, and we should thank them for doing that job, you have to work your way up. So you start in like regional competitions and then work your way up, right? But the marshals that can do F1, they can also do things like WEC and Nürburgring, 24 hours, endurance racing, the big stuff, right? The big fast cars, the big heavy, dangerous fast cars. So the standard protocol for car off track is yellow flag, immediate yellow flag. For it to be upgraded to a double yellow, either the driver has to be out of the car or there have to be marshals on track, given how far off circuit he was. Unless it is, a street circuit, then there would be double yellows, obviously. But so that's first of all. So Max crashes, and immediately the marshal nearest, which isn't actually very near there, because of how likely it is for that crash to happen, there isn't a marshal post in that stretch of the wall. They're at the top and the bottom of the hill. And so marshal immediately yellow flags. That triggers the yellow flag into the corner and where he is. But then the marshal down the hill triggers a green flag because Max isn't there, right? Yeah. Then Max doesn't get out the car because he's trying to drive it out. And because the marshals are too far away, they haven't run onto the track yet. As soon as they do, they hit the double yellows, which is already after George has gone. So, yeah, it should have probably been a double yellow, but because of how it happened, it wasn't.
The other interesting thing is when they are doing the cool-down lap after qualifying, the marshals are actually still waving single yellow. It's the electronic board that's turned to double.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of miscommunication there somewhere.
Yeah. And then those double yellows is what came through on Crofty's screen when he was doing the bit at the end of qualifying of like George Russell and Antonelli have had a lap deleted for double waved yellow, so just hang on, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, but if you look at the time, Crofty, the time was after qualifying had already finished. You said I think it was 17:02 or 16:02 or something. Well, quali finished at the hour. So those laps are after qualifying.
Yeah.
The controversy around it is purely
should it have been a double? Yeah.
100%
it should have been, but it just
if you can love and hate George Russell, but if that was the driver you support doing what George did, you absolutely you're praising him to high heaven. So well done, George Russell.
Yeah, fair play for knowing the rules. Kimi shouldn't have done. And that's exactly what Toto said. So Toto said, what I saw was a yellow. I saw Kimi aborting, and that was pretty much the session done. And I was super angry about it. Then George on pole. This is all his experience. His lap was incredible. He lifted at the right time, the necessary amount, and that's pole position. And that really defined the race because he was able to get a gap on the Ferraris before the charging Max Verstappen came through.
Yeah, well...
I don't know if you remember the last time we recorded, Jake, but we spoke about how Lewis might be back in the fight. Briefly, we kind of said Spain was a bit underwhelming, but actually, the more I look at it, Spain wasn't underwhelming. It wasn't as exciting as everybody made it out to us because we weren't obviously able to watch it live, and everybody went, "Oh, you should watch Spain. It's a really good race." It wasn't that good.
No.
But what it means is much more important.
Yeah.
And actually, the podcast that just went out this week was entitled "Old Guys Do It Best," which was about Lewis being back in the saddle.
Oh, that must have hurt.
Why? From a personal perspective, yeah, but from a business perspective, I mean, I'll sacrifice those morals for a
selling
business
his soul
perspective.
to the corporate machine already.
It's my machine. It's my corporate machine. So sure. Maybe it did hurt a little bit that Lewis won before Leclerc this year, but it's fine. It's good for the content. It's good for the podcast. It's fine by me.
Yeah.
Putting it on pole, provisional pole, and second place before George Russell's incident or lap or whatever you want to call it. We had a lot of faith. I know there's always friggin' aeronautics going on out there while we're trying to film. I mean, do they not know? It's just rude.
It is really rude.
Just really rude. There's a plane or a helicopter or something outside making a whole lot of noise. I was pretty like, oh yeah, Ferrari, you've got this. And then they started the second and third and they finished fifth and eighth. And Leclerc was the last of the drivers not a lap down. That's disappointing. That's really disappointing. We were beaten by the McLarens.
Yeah. Leclerc's in a bit of a rut at the minute.
Big time. Absolutely big time.
Because it isn't even like he's qualified okay, but he's not qualifying Charles Leclerc level qualifying. So he's in a big rut, and he needs to get out of it. And I don't know how he does it.
I just don't think these cars suit his style. He's very much Charles Leclerc brilliance. I often get messages from people every time Leclerc messes up, being like, haha, Leclerc's, washed, whatever, useless. And it's because these people don't know the magic that is Charles Leclerc. And Belgium and Monza in 2019 spring to mind, and the Monaco pole lap and everything spring to mind. Leclerc operates best when he's right on the edge of friction.
Yeah.
And that's not how you drive these cars quickly anymore.
No, but I would also argue that's when Hamilton's sort of best as well. Like, where he's on the edge, he's heavy braking and using the braking to really get the car turned in and things like that. And these new regulations seem to have revamped him quite a bit, which was sort of expected. He wasn't going to struggle as much as he did in the last era of F1. But I wasn't expecting a drop off from Leclerc. And because that is what it is.
The issue has been brakes, hasn't it? So he wasn't happy with the Brembos in Canada. He definitely wasn't happy with the Brembos in Monaco. And then in Austria, he put on Spain, he put on Lewis's Carbo Industries. Is that what they're called? Carbon Industries brakes?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't get on with them either. And then who knows what he was running in Austria, honestly. I have no idea. But he's convinced it's the brakes that's the problem. I'm not sure it is. And I think the longer he spends in that hole, the worse it's going to get for him. He's just going to have no confidence in the car whatsoever. And clearly, I'm not saying it's the second best car, but it's definitely one of the top 3 cars.
Oh yeah, without
on the
doubt.
grid right now.
Without doubt, it's
there's a clear gap. Like McLaren beat Ferrari in Austria in the race, but not on pace, not on pure pace. No. It was on, they were able to do 2 stops instead of 3. They were able to manage the tires better instead of burning them up. They were able to manage the energy better instead of battling through the midfield. Like it wasn't on raw pace. It was on better strategy.
Yeah.
The question I really want to talk though is, can Lewis? I saw remember last year when Max was catching the McLarens and Crofty spoke about Jurassic Park. Remember that quote? You know what I mean?
I know the quote you mean, but it's hard to picture it.
I'm picturing the scene from Jurassic Park where there's 2 people stuck in a Jeep and there's a T-Rex chasing them down. Well, there's your T-Rex, and it was Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
I saw that quote this morning and I was like, yeah, Max and Lewis are definitely still in this.
I mean, they are.
I think
it's whether I can't see, and this might come back to bite me now, but I can't see Kimi bottling it like Piastri. But I also couldn't see Piastri bottling it last year.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting because at some point, if Hamilton continues getting podiums and being up there, and Max also starts, challenging for race wins, Toto's going to have to make a decision.
Yep.
Does he let his boys race, or does he say to George, "I'm really sorry.
Yep.
This was meant to be your year, but you've messed it up because of the start you've had. We're now going to have to prioritise Kimi."
When they've finished, the Mercs have finished quite well. But they have had quite a lot of races where they haven't finished. Lewis has finished every race and hasn't finished lower than 6th. Max has had a couple of DNFs, but you would like to think that those days seem to be over based on how his recent run's been. And Max and Lewis are not the drivers who have bad days. When they have bad days, they finish 5th.
Yeah. When they're on it, aren't they?
Whereas, George Russell has had some bad days and finished, 7th.
Yeah.
In the past, not necessarily this year, but in the past. And Kimi is very young, very inexperienced.
But he's very quick.
So we've got sort of 3-4 strategies playing out here. Max is like, maximize every ounce. Lewis is give me the right day and I will absolutely annihilate everybody. George typically is Mr. Consistent, but that Mercedes is a bit unreliable.
Yeah.
And Kimi is probably either going to win you a race or not finish. So that's it to the end of the season by the looks of it. I don't see either McLaren or Charles Leclerc getting involved now. They're too far back.
No.
They've got half the points.
No, they even if they could, the teams are going to prioritise the person that's higher up.
And we're over a third of the way through the season now.
But it's whether Mercedes going to look at what happened last year with McLaren, and are they going to say, right, we're going to make a decision really early, and just we're not going to worry too much about upsetting someone. We're going to make sure we have a driver's champion. Or are they going to leave it and potentially let either Max or Lewis sneak up on them?
Well, we saw what McLaren did last year.
Yeah, I think
he looks to his McLaren fan brother.
Yeah.
I think it's the case with. I think Leclerc's out with it no matter what happens, really.
He's got 79 points. He's nearly 100 points behind Antonelli.
Yeah, there's no chance with his current form that he's going to get anywhere near. Norris and Piastri, again, I think the start of the season kind of ruined any chance, really.
Yeah.
Piastri not starting the first race in general is not
We
great.
are talking about Verstappen winning the World Championship in a minute, and he's lower than Leclerc in the standings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he can just... If he has the right car,
He can pull it out.
Yeah,
he's going to win 5 races in a row.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Lewis's and Verstappen's to win. I think it's Mercedes to lose.
Yeah, and we've
If
seen
they
how
don't
that goes.
pick, because we were talking about it on another podcast, if they don't pick a right driver, that rivalry will brew.
Yeah, we said this about McLaren.
Well,
True, but
the way that I look at Mercedes is they always used to prioritise drivers' championship above everything.
Yeah.
There wasn't actually that, like, if they got the constructors, great, but they wanted the drivers' champion.
No, I think you're talking about Red Bull.
No, I think like at post Nico and Lewis,
Right, okay. Yeah.
right? So post that season,
Yeah.
they've prioritised a main driver,
Yes.
i.e. Lewis,
Yeah.
and they've prioritised getting the drivers' championship.
Yeah.
You look at McLaren last year, they sort of prioritised constructors over drivers.
Yep.
And I don't think they was happy to potentially lose the drivers' championship, but they really wanted the constructors. And it was at the detriment of letting Verstappen get really close.
Yeah.
And it paid off for him. Fair
Just-
enough. But they wouldn't have wanted it to be that close.
No.
no.
And arguably, it's cost them a lot this year.
Yeah. And I just think Mercedes have got a big call to make, because are they that confident they're going to walk it to the point where they can just let Kimi and George go at it? Or are they going to say, actually, guys...
Well, have you seen Toto's quotes this weekend?
No.
Ferrari have brought another upgrade to Silverstone. And he was like, I don't know how they keep doing this. These are like massive upgrades they keep bringing. Like, surely they're going to run out of money. Like, we can't afford to do this. So he's thinking Ferrari are front loading all of their work, all of their resources. And he's like, yeah, we'll bring some more at the end of the season. Don't worry.
Toto's like Christian Horner. I don't believe a single word that comes out.
Speaking of, he's now linked to Aston Martin.
He is. I've seen it.
Before we get into the rumour mill, because actually talking about Verstappen next is part of the rumour mill. History has an interesting way of repeating itself.
Especially in motorsport.
especially motorsport. And this is Lewis's second season at Ferrari. And not that I am a massive Lewis Hamilton fan, sitting here in a Ferrari shirt, but in 2008, he won with McLaren in his second season. In 2014, he won with Mercedes in his second season. This is his second season with Ferrari. We've seen history repeat itself before. What do we think? Possible? Not possible? Possible and or probable?
Possible.
Right.
Like
Possible.
Is it possible? Yes.
Probable, probably not.
But I think, and it sounds ridiculous to say this, but if you said to me who's more likely to win the Drivers' Championship, Hamilton or Verstappen, I'd go Verstappen.
There's 52 points between them.
Yeah. and I'd still go Verstappen at this stage in the season. However, if this weekend, Lewis has this really special ability at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, I'm sure there's a load of Brits that love the fact he's won so many times at Silverstone.
Yep.
There's a very high chance Lewis wins this weekend.
Yep.
There just is.
Yep.
The stars seem to align for him at Silverstone.
Yep. It'll be his 10th. It'll be a new record.
And if he wins at Silverstone, the momentum that could give him could be very interesting, because you sort of see already now he's feeling a bit more confident. He's sounding a lot more confident. He just seems happier in general, and he's shock horror. He's getting better results. If he wins his home Grand Prix this weekend, it could start another hot streak.
Well, if he wins in Silverstone, let's say, we know it's going to be energy starved. We know it's going to be a problem. But if he wins in Silverstone, it's Belgium in 2 weeks, which again is going to be an energy starved race. But it's another track that Lewis has gone well at in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a track in recent years that has been absolutely causing a lot of problems.
Yeah. And then a week after that, it's Hungary, which we think the Ferrari should be good at.
Yeah. In theory, should be strong.
And then it's the summer break. And I know that we've said in the past on this podcast that I don't think that drivers are like carrying over emotions into summer break. But rounding out the first half of your potential championship revival season with your new team, with 2 or 3 wins on the bounce, has got to be a pretty good step for Lewis.
I would say this: if Lewis can get 2 wins out of the next 3 races,
Yep.
is in the title fight.
100%. He is currently 50 points-ish behind Antonelli.
Yeah.
There is, just to put some dampener on it,
Mm-hmm.
there is a chance that he doesn't finish any of these 3 races, just inherently.
Of course.
And that could absolutely derail his title hopes completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
But Ferrari are also the only team not to have any major failures this year.
true, but they could all be waiting to culminate them all just at the perfect right time for everyone else.
Well, statistically so far, every single driver at their home race this year has done terrible. So it's either Antonelli or Leclerc for the win at Silverstone.
Well, I don't think... I
Lando,
just
calling it now, it's Friday, 9:56 a.m. Lando Norris to retire in front of the Lando grandstand. Do you know what? We're not going to do speculation this week, Cam. We're not. We're going to move on to Lando Norris because we're already talking about him anyway. I don't think he's a very good world champion. I think he's been a bit rubbish.
His car's been a bit rubbish.
No, he's been a bit rubbish. And let me tell you for why. A little bit of Gavin and Stacey there. Let me tell you for why.
Tell you for why.
His results: 5th, DNS, 5th, 2nd, DNF, 3rd, 7th. Piastri, DNS, 2nd, 3rd, 11th, 5th, 5th, 4th. So apart from his 11th place, typically finished higher. He's only had 2 DNSs, no DNFs, and the time where Lando had a DNF, Piastri finished 11th. So neither of them scored any points. That was Canada, and that's when they decided to start in the Inters, right, Jake?
Yep.
Why did they start in the Inters, Jake?
Someone read the weather map wrong, clearly.
Who read the weather map wrong, Jake?
Strategist.
Called?
I can't remember the strategist's name.
Gemini. You must have seen that clip.
It's a big Ferrari move, to be honest.
You must have seen that clip.
They were just role playing Ferrari.
Oh, it was brilliant, man. So when they went to Canada, because they did Miami, Canada, right, with the 2-week gap. So obviously Zach just stayed in America and did a load of like media interviews and whatever else, right? So in the week off, he went for an interview where he was like bragging about all the sponsors that they have and all the tech partners that they have and Gemini, right? Yeah. And he was like, honestly, we use Gemini for everything from logistics and team management to aerodynamic upgrades and strategy and whatever else. And somebody clipped that up and and then went, yeah, we use Gemini for strategy. The McLarens have started on the intermediates, like from Canada, and it was just perfect. Like the internet just behaving as it should.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were the only team to do so.
The actual strategists that started them on the Inters, though, are so happy that they're blaming Gemini.
Absolutely. I don't know whether it's Norris or McLaren, or whether the car is slightly more suited to Piastri's style, just inherently from the way that the car is designed this year. Not saying that McLaren have designed a car for Piastri, but just saying that the type of cars we've ended up with this year suits Piastri more.
I think it's a bit both.
There's one point in it, I know, but the results don't.
I think it's partly Norris probably knows the car isn't good enough. And I think he's done an interview this week or something leading up to the British Grand Prix saying, if it weren't for the glory of last year of knowing I was a world champion, it would really hurt this year with how bad the car is.
Right.
And I'm thinking, that's not really a great way to look at it. I like Lando, but it's not the winner's mentality. It's almost like, yeah, I've got no chance this year, but it's fine. I'm a world champion now. Like, no, you should be wanting more. Like,
yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna have a gap year.
I don't quite know how to describe the feeling, but like watching in Austria, which was it Brundle or was it Crofty kept going, Lando's a bit of a specialist here. Last lap Lando. That's where you remember the mode scenario, strat mode 5 or 7, whatever it was, 7 stuff came from. It's where he got his first podium.
Yeah.
I kind of can see how Lando's a bit of an expert in Austria. I can see where that's come from. He was rubbish.
Yeah, it wasn't
great. He was rubbish, man. Like really, really bad. Like the car looked sideways in every corner, but Oscar seemed to be just towing that line of like, I can still get the speed out of this. Lando was just like, what's going on, man? I'm so slow. And then he finished, just ahead of Leclerc? Austria. Like 10 seconds ahead of Leclerc, just behind Hadjar, but a good further 10 seconds behind his teammate. It's just, yeah, man, I don't know. There was just a feeling I had of like, and I haven't heard that commentary of like, and here comes reigning world champion Lando Norris. They haven't talked about him the same way they talk about Max and Lewis, and I know they're both multiple world champions, but
yeah, I feel like it's with Lando. I think, especially our media in this country, was always going to get behind him when Hamilton were doing bad.
Yeah,
but now Hamilton's doing better than him again. They'll be more interested in Hamilton again.
Yeah,
it's just sort of like Hamilton is still the one with,
bigger pull.
He just is. But what I actually found really interesting when you were just saying about, I actually thought there was quite a few drivers that struggled, especially like early on. Like, I mean, Antonelli, he didn't fancy making any corners at the start of the race.
No, actually, that's a good point. And everybody who put the hard tyres on kept locking up and just going off.
Yeah,
straight away.
Verstappen, before he really got going, he was struggling with the brakes, wasn't he? And
I think it was the second set of hards when everyone started to turn on. But that first set of hards for everyone that was using
just rubbish, wasn't it?
It was just rubbish. And like I say, Kimi just. Well, it was especially turn 1, wasn't it? It just didn't fancy it. It was like he was doing the F1 game.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to stop this episode here, boys. Thank you for all of your inputs and efforts. All that's left for me to say is thanks for listening. And if you want to get involved with the podcast, please, we'd love some input. We'd love questions. We answered a few a couple of weeks ago, and that went down really well. We've had a lot of interactions about the WEC stuff on social media. When Tim gets back, we will do a massive episode, I promise. I keep saying that, but he's still not here. The best way to get in touch with us, though, is via our Patreon, which you can find AAT Apex on Patreon. Become a member. It's completely free, and you can get involved with our From Our Perspective series. I am finally caught up, as well as race chats, and you can, of course, send us your questions for every podcast recording session. Alternatively, you can get in touch with us via Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter using handle @AAT Apex. Finally, why not leave us a review and comment on Spotify or wherever you like to get your podcasts? You don't actually have to like the podcast. Just leave us a 5-star. That'd be great. You can also find the podcast on YouTube, Amazon Music, Castbox, and in various other places. The only place we aren't is Apple Podcasts, and I'm sorry, guys, they just won't let us on. We've tried. With that, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.